Hello everyone and welcome back to Mountain Computers with Matt. Andrew's still not here. I promise, he exists. He's just not here. Today I'm going to be transferring my computer into the new Fractal Design Define R5 that arrived in the mail just a couple days ago. And I'm also going to be walking you through just kind of some of the specs of the components that are in it. I know I said I was going to make that a separate video, but I decided that I could combine the two together and just talk over top of the build process. So you'll see some pictures and video of that going on while I talk about the specs of the machine. So, starting out with the CPU, I've got an i7-875K that's overclocked to 4 GHz. It's being cooled by the Corsair H80i V2 AIO liquid cooler. I'll talk a little bit about that combo as well as the motherboard in a minute. The motherboard is an Asus P7H55M. For RAM, I've got 8 GB of DDR3 2133. That's made by PNY. It's their Anarchy lineup, and it's in a 2x4 config. Got an MSI GTX 1060 Armor OC edition. That is running at its stock speed. I've never seen any need to overclock it with the 1080p Dell monitor that I use. That's all being powered by the EVGA 500 watt 80 plus bronze power supply. The blue lighting that you can see in both cases in the video segments is an NZXT LED lighting kit. It is only in blue, it is not RGB. I've got a 128 GB OCZ Vector 150 SATA 3 SSD, but it's running on SATA 2, and again that stems back to the motherboard, which I'll talk about in a minute. I've got a 1 TB Western Digital blue hard drive as my main storage drive, plus a 256 gig Seagate hard drive that I use for backups. And the case that you're seeing at the beginning is the Corsair Carbide Spec N2. And what I'm migrating into is the Fractal Design Define R5, like we talked about earlier. Now, the thing with this motherboard that I've got is the VRM overheats, and you can see a fan over top of the VRM in the original config, but I've opted not to put that into the new case just in anticipation of getting a new motherboard. And indeed, just before making this video, I got off eBay from buying a new motherboard. Now, that motherboard is going to give me both USB 3 and a lot more power phases, which will help more evenly distribute the heat that's set off by the VRM, and it has Asus's smart redistribution of power phasing technology that helps keep hotter phases cooled down more by reallocating that voltage step down to other power phases. And last, I'll also be getting SATA 3 finally on that motherboard. Motherboards in the first half of this generation did not include SATA 3, so I'll be really happy to run my SATA 3 SSD at its full speed, since I've been hindered to only about half of those speeds so far. So thank you very much for checking out my personal build update. This has been Mountain Computers. Please consider subscribing if you really enjoy the channel. Like or dislike depending on how you felt about the video. Leave a comment if there's more complicated things going on there. And stay tuned for a video where we migrate Daniel's computer into my old Corsair Carbide Spec M2. Thanks guys, have a good one.